Right, and Amanda at 7:26. You really find out who your friends are when you go through a major health scare, and I made a lot of friends when I went through mine. I had what I thought was a seizure a couple of months ago, about 3 months back on February 2nd. I went for a follow-up appointment yesterday. I was called a survivor, which rattled me a little bit. I was told it was more in the neighborhood of a stroke. And I've talked about it a little bit from time to time because I was off the air for a little while, but there's a few things that I kept inside because I didn't want to worry people. But the word cancer was kicked around for a little while as a possibility behind this whole thing. And yesterday, in having my follow-up appointment, I feel better about that, and I feel okay to talk about it. I only told a few people. The weird thing is, I know I can be a whiny little pain in the butt, but most of the time it's about the little things. And I think, Amanda, you can attest to the fact that I'm pretty good at compartmentalizing the big things. And I tried not to let this worry me. I kept saying this to everybody every day in my life. I'm like, one day at a time, I'll just deal with this. If it ends up being something worse than I thought, I'll deal with it at the time that it happens. And I had this thing with my wife. I'm not a WebMD person. I said, we are not Googling this. There is so much stuff on the internet that can scare you. You don't want to see it. And even though I was going into like an oncology building yesterday, I'll admit I was a little bit freaked out. And I have to see a hematologist and an oncologist coming up just to make sure that everything's okay. This has really put life in perspective for me. And I know there's a lot of people, now that I can breathe my sigh of relief, who've been through similar health scares and who now are okay. And I think that you can all serve as inspiration to anybody else out there who's going through something similar right now. Amanda, you said you have an example of this about yourself.
Yeah, I was actually born with a very large birthmark on the back of my leg. It was about the size of a clementine, and they say if a birthmark is bigger than a pencil top, or if it changes color, shape, anything like that, you should always, tell your doctor immediately, get it checked out. Well, my doctor always kept an eye on it, and when I was in 8th grade, the word cancer came up, and precancerous cells. And my doctor actually advised my parents that I should have it removed because they were afraid that, I guess it changed a little bit, that it could be cancer. So I did have it removed, and then they found out that everything was A-okay, thank God. But it was super scary.
Odd side note to that story. Suddenly I find myself craving a clementine.
You're so weird.
412-224-1285. Who's been through a similar health scare, came out on the other side, and is a better person for it? We want to hear your story. 401-224-1285. Greg is in Portsmouth, High Cat Country.
Similar to yours. I had a stroke about a month after I turned 30.
Oh, my Lord. What was the cause of that? Did they ever get to the bottom of it?
They didn't completely get to the bottom of it. I was a big smoker back then. I drank a lot of coffee, a lot of energy drinks. They think that was probably the cause of it, but they gave me a drug that they called a clotbuster on steroids that actually for a majority of the symptoms.
You sound a little bit low-key. I can tell you're off of the coffee and the energy drinks.
Yeah.
I could use one of those about now myself, by the way. But I'm glad to hear everything turned out okay for you.
Yeah, worked out good. I'm 100% healthy now.
Keep that up, man. Be well.
Cat Country 98.1.